Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna, and this is our read-along of The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is Book 2 of the Broken Earth trilogy. Welcome to Week 1. This week we're talking about chapters 1 through 3. No prologue.
No prologue, although the first chapter to me kind of functioned as a prologue.
Sort of. The first noticeable difference is that we're getting more characters' perspectives. We've really... now that we've figured out, and it's been officially confirmed in, this first chunk. We knew that Essen and Cyanite and Damia were all the same person by the end of the book, but, not in so many words. But it's been explicitly said now.
Yeah. They're like, you are all three of those people.
Right.
Yes.
But we're also expanding because the first chapter was Nassun, which is Essen's daughter. So chapter 1 was called Nassun on the Rocks. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. Chapter 2 is You Continued. So we're keeping that second person perspective, which I appreciate. And then 3 is Schaffa, Forgotten, which I have mixed feelings about having a Schaffa chapter. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, that last chapter was a trip. So yeah. I was that. Oh man. Okay, so we'll get there.
We will.
But for the first chapter, with Nassun on the Rocks, mm-hmm. That one I feel like we got confirmation that yes, the dad did kill the son.
For sure.
In no uncertain terms.
Yeah. It was kind of because we had all these theories that wasn't what really happened, that something else had happened and the father was going to be redeemed, or not be the monster that Essen had believed him to be. But no.
Jija.
He did in fact kill their son.
Man.
The road to getting there was different than I expected, though.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be because of some way that he reacted to the big shake up in Jimenez, but it was because he sensed a rock in his dad's pocket, and then Gija just popped off and just went total berserk.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, totally born out of fear. That reaction, but it makes him very hard to be. I'm gonna have, when we do finally meet him as Essen, I'm gonna have a hard time, I think.
Same. Yeah, I think that it's interesting because the whole time I've been like, surely that's not a real thing that someone would do. Even if you found out that your kid had this ability, surely that's not your first reaction, is to just kill them. But later on in the Schaffa chapter, we had the granddad that said that they should just drown all of them when they're babies.
Right.
So
this is a cultural thing.
Yeah, there's such a deep-seated hatred for orogeny that they're willing to just infanticide all of the orogeny babies. Which
I'm realizing
some people.
I'm noticing something interesting about you and I in this revelation, because Essen told us as much in the first part of the 5th season. She basically said people hate the orogeny members so much that, of course, Gija killed our son. She said that, and we did not believe her. We tried to find any way to make that not possible, because it wasn't something that you and I could reconcile with.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like and I'm sure we're not the only readers that had that thought, especially
No.
when it was only the first book that came out. I'm sure that she had seen tons of questions about whether or not Gigi actually did it. And then I feel like the first chapter was kind of calling us out and those other people when she says denial is a
Yeah.
powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how Gigi
Yeah.
was trying to convince himself that his children weren't like this.
Right.
But
But it's also
it's just, man,
interesting that we didn't believe the person who is in danger of experiencing a hate crime her entire life. We did not
yeah.
believe her.
Well, I think the main reason for me was because, well, there was the part of me that was just like, I don't want it to be true. I
Yeah.
want him to be like a good dad.
Right. Right.
And that's terrible and awful, and I don't want it to be true. But then another part of me was like, there was a part of me that was like, but you didn't see it happen. You're
Yeah.
judging this based off of like what you think his fist prints would look like. But
Right.
she also has superpowers. So maybe there's like a
Right.
way that can be done,
Yeah.
that I wasn't realizing. But no, the band-aids ripped off. It's for reals. Gigi definitely killed their son
Yeah.
and then
I just
took off
wanted
with their
to
daughter.
yeah, I just want to make sure that we took a moment to acknowledge that we had this denial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I
denial
think
was
it's
strong.
interesting. I think it's interesting to observe. So,
Yeah, especially when it's yourself.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
dang.
But what do we think about Nathan? Like, what do we think of her as a character here?
I think it was like, I'm not a psychologist, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting to see it said that she regressed in the face of this traumatic event of seeing the aftermath of her father killing her brother. She regressed
Mm-hmm.
and still wanted to be comforted, and her dad was the parent figure that was there. So that's what
Yeah.
happened. Like, it doesn't, like, logically, like, looking at it from an outside perspective makes no sense. Run away, scream, do.
Right.
But also, you are an origin too, so maybe you're afraid that if you run away and scream that he's going to out you and then the whole town's going to kill you. It'll be like a
Right.
like a Salem witch situation,
Right. She
So
also makes the choice to tell the truth when he asks her if she's also
yeah.
one.
Yeah, cuz I think it said that she knew he wouldn't believe her even if she lied. Like,
Yeah.
she had no choice but to just say the truth. Man.
And he had calmed down enough to not have the same visceral reaction that he had against the 2-year-old, which is just
Insane.
there's
Just
there's just so much about it that it's just like it makes me feel gross.
mhm.
Which I think is the point, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that she's very interesting. I'm curious. Like, this was an interesting glimpse into what Essen's life was like before everything happened in the last book. It's filling in some gaps for us between Cyanite and the Essen that we know. Because we get to see, like, Nason tells us that she's basically a daddy's girl. Like, she relates more to her father than her mother. Her mom is always making her practice her orogeny, and she resents her for that. But she also uses that to find a diamond, to pay the lorist, to tell her a story. And then, like, we get a glimpse at the lorists. Like, that wasn't a class that we knew about previously, I don't believe. Not really.
Yeah.
As, like, a functioning class. So I appreciated the Nason chapter for that. Certainly.
For sure. I thought that the lore drops with
Mm-hmm.
the lorists was really interesting as someone who's now back in school for
Mm-hmm.
history. Um, that was a really interesting thing to read, like, with literally wanting the history to be set in stone,
Mm-hmm.
literally, and like carving it into slabs.
Mm-hmm.
fascinating because it's history from. It's a very narrow view of like history from your perspective is set in stone.
Right.
You know, like, but perspective is important with history. So I don't know. It was very interesting to read about, and I also thought it was funny that it was like, yeah, and they all wear black lipstick.
So they're the Goths.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
these goth historians running around. It was just kind of I
It's a
thought that was
vibe.
funny. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that first chapter was really interesting to get that different perspective from
Mm-hmm.
the Nessun point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So curious to see how that continues, if it even continues. Maybe we won't get another
Oh, I hope
one
we
of
do,
those
because I want to know what
until.
happened. Like, I want to know the journey that she's been on with her father.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it'll come up regularly like soon, or if maybe that won't come up until Essen reunites
Mm,
with her,
right.
and finds them.
Right.
Man, like right now, I really just want Essen to just smoke Jija, like,
Yeah.
but man, so part of me hopes that there's no other Nessun chapters because I don't want, like, right now I'm in like a very bitter mindset about his
Sure.
character, and I don't want any kind of redeeming qualities to be like surfaced about him. I want to feel guiltless when Essen just ices him, and so, uh, literally.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I mean, I think that's fair. As a reader. And then we get our girl back. We're back with our girl. I feel like I can say that definitively now because we've been with her for a whole book
mm,
in different stages of her life. But we're back with Essen.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and she is, I don't even know how, I just feel bad for her. Because she has one thing she wants to do, and now she's being like forced into a different direction.
into what would be perceived by Alabaster probably as this like higher calling into more important things.
Which she doesn't want.
No, she doesn't care. She's like trying to go John Wick on her soon to be very ex-husband right
Yes.
now. And Alabaster's like, "Hey, see if you can call an obelisk."
Well, and he's annoyed that she hasn't tried in all this time.
Yeah.
And I think she's rightfully annoyed. And like, dude, you just left. You disappeared literally into the ground.
Yeah. You were taken, and the life is, well, she wanted to try to rebuild the life, like the ideal life that she
Mm-hmm.
almost had with the pirates, in
Yeah,
some way.
right.
Like, oh man, her and Jija have both killed their own children.
Yes. See,
What
okay.
a parallel. What a
It is a
parallel.
parallel and it's bonkers.
Ugh.
And Alabaster's mad at her for that, which I can't remember now if that came up in the last book or not.
It was the last book.
Was it the
Yeah.
last book?
Yeah.
Okay. Since we're reading them so close together, I'm having a harder time delineating what happened in the last book and what happened in this book. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's basically like, okay, well, now that we're reunited, I need you to do this thing. Go get an obelisk. Go call the turquoise one to you.
Topaz.
Topaz or turquoise? Topaz. T
Mm-hmm.
words.
Yeah.
Topaz.
I only remember that because they described it as being like
Topaz.
bright and like citrusy.
Yes.
Topaz. But yeah, I feel like Alabaster's having a difficult time adjusting to the current iteration of the character that is now Essen.
Yeah.
He keeps calling her Cyanite, or Cyan,
Mm-hmm.
and she keeps
And
correcting
annoying
him.
her a lot.
And she like uses her teacher voice on him at one point,
Mm-hmm. I
and
love
he's
that
like, "Oh,
moment. That was great.
yeah, I knew you would for
Um,
sure." He needs to be put in his place every now and
he
then.
does. Well, I don't know. His current state is
Sad.
I don't even know like how to describe it. Um,
Sickly.
He's very sickly, very desperate, but like there's something about it that's
Unhinged.
deplorable almost. Like,
I mean, he did just destroy an entire
yeah,
like civilization,
yeah,
and he's acting pretty nonchalant about it in the aftermath.
right.
So
All for the
I want
sake
to,
of the moon.
yeah, I want to hear more about like what do the obelisks have to do with the moon?
Hmm.
What, why did you have to destroy Jimenez for this to, for like your plan to happen?
Well, I assume
Because,
that's to get to the thing that's under Jimenez. I assume.
but I mean, how are you going to get there if it's just a fiery chasm of
I don't
lava?
know. They also confirmed in no uncertain terms that he is in fact turning into rock. So,
Yeah, he's turning to stone,
and that
which
has been progressing really quickly since he arrived.
it was just his fingertips, and now it's like,
And he's missing large portions of himself.
so here is, so last time I said that what if the Stone Eaters are from the moon? Like, what if they were aliens?
Hmm.
New theory.
Okay. I'm
What
here.
if Stone Eaters are people, Alabaster's turning into stone
Yeah.
before our eyes? So what if
Right.
Stone Eaters used to be people?
Yeah,
And it's something you turn into.
I could have swore that they even said that he was turning into a stone eater.
Oh,
But I'm
I don't
not
remember
sure.
that, but
I listened to it, so I'm not sure if that was something that I misheard. So
I remember they
let
say
me
he's turning into stone, and they say that the Stone Eater is like snacking on him.
right. Let me see if I can go back to that and just see. He's described as the most powerful orogeny in all the stillness and in progress stone eater snack. There, I think I heard in progress stone eater, and I was like, what? And I didn't hear the snack part.
Because he's
Okay.
been getting munched on.
But that is
But
what that was the sentence that I heard and was like, wait, is he
right,
turning into a stone eater? Maybe he is though.
maybe. But then why is his Stone Eater munching on him? I don't
I'm
know.
very confused about that dynamic, honestly. So
Yeah, why Stone Eaters latch themselves to people? Because now Hoa in Essen is a thing. Is he just waiting for her to start turning to stone so he can start munching on her?
Hoa
Like, is this a
seems
weird?
different,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't know if he only seems different because Essen has a soft spot for him, or if it's genuinely that there's something about him that is different. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
What do you think of the calm people here?
I think they have a very interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's the one girl who's got like her teeth filed to points like
Mm-hmm.
old Sansa Empire people, which is terrifying because we know what they were.
Mm-hmm.
Little cannibalistic there.
Mm-hmm.
So why are your teeth filed to points? Creepy. I it's like they're trying to make it work, but they've also got like people there complaining about the temperature of their bath water when the
Mm-hmm.
world's ending.
Mm-hmm.
So like those are the kinds of things that make me think like,
Mm-hmm.
how long is this gonna last?
Right.
Like I feel like we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, just like the pirates, you know, like something's gonna happen and it's all gonna get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
I am really curious because Doctor Boy pointed it out. I forget his name. Starts with an L, right?
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I, Doctor Boy, that totally has a crush on Essen. Doctor Boy was like comparing the obelisks to the calm and like being in the geode
Mm-hmm.
because he points out the similarities between like we're in this crystal thing and those are crystal things and they're both powered by orogeny in ways that like haven't been done
Mm-hmm.
ever, or they're supposed to be powered by people by origins. So it's I'm really curious to see what gets unearthed. Hey, unearthed, get it?
Mm-hmm.
About that connection between the
Yeah.
obelisks, and this is like is this the same dead civ that made the obelisks that the geode is part of? Yeah, I'm just very interested to hear more about that
Great
and
question.
what the purpose of the geode is, because they've kind of like come in and retrofitted it to their needs. But what was its original? Was it like a laboratory? Was it like, what was it? I'm just, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm curious to find out.
all good questions.
Hmm.
I believe we'll find out. I believe these
Hmm.
questions will be answered. Which, how refreshing is that? To have an author that you trust so much to be like, nah, this is going to be an answered question. This isn't going to just hang out and we'll never know.
Yeah, especially like this is a self-contained trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think by the end of the third book, a nice neat bow will be tied on the story at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I trust that it's going to be a full and complete story with a satisfying amount of answers or
Yeah.
questions answered.
Yes.
That is refreshing. You're right. Because sometimes it's like, are we ever going to come back to that? We might not.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking back to like we read the Dragonlance book, right? Like way back.
Yeah.
And I think I know, I'm certain that there are questions that were raised that we'll never know because it's based on a gaming system and there's infinite possibilities. So some of the stuff that came up, we won't ever have the answer to, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of what that book is. So this is refreshing.
Hmm.
And you know, the Gentleman Bastard series, that's still ongoing technically, even though it's been a long time since the last one was written. But
Yeah.
technically ongoing. So there, and we definitely walked away with that with more questions. So
Yeah.
this feels, I'm excited about this for sure. Anyway, that was a little tangent.
Will Locke and Sabbatha ever get together?
Right.
Uh...
But this, so that was a tangent. Sorry.
no, you're good.
But yeah, I think the dynamic between Essen and this comm is really interesting. It's not as organic feeling as when she was with the pirate comm. Even though there are parallels, there's a lot more distrust here than she had there. And the fact that they want to go with her when she tries to call the obelisk, and kind of force her to reveal, which makes sense. Like you're in their territory and like they're trying to protect their own.
They're not just going to let you go up there alone,
Right,
unsupervised.
right. But at the same time, my own internal like individualism was like, if she wants to go alone, let her go alone. She is her own person.
The thing is,
But I
we
think
know her really well.
right,
They do not. So
sure.
they're definitely not doing that. But no, I understand what you mean.
Like I recognize that that's my own internalized
Hmm.
individualism that's being problematic. So anyway, it totally makes sense that they went with her. Okay, but our girl, she
She pulled two.
she pulled two, and one of them I think is bad.
Yeah, Onyx. It was super far away,
But it was
um,
calling to her, which
and
I
it
think is
found her,
bad.
and now it's coming.
Bad mojo. Bad
Mm,
vibes.
I'm trying to think of what it means and what the implications are.
I need her to
Like,
go inside and talk to Tonky and Alabaster together.
yes,
Together. Because they
yes.
both hold keys to information.
Ask Tonki about the moon. Tell Alabaster you pulled the Onyx obelisk.
But
Also,
also tell
like,
Tonky that because Tonky was the one who revealed that they could tell
oh,
that the
right.
obelisks were following her
Hmm.
and were moving. So Tonky holds a lot of keys.
I'm wondering. So that we can kind of transition into the next chapter because I'm wondering if the Onyx obelisk has something to do with Schaffa, because he is now like
Hmm.
gathering origin people, origin kids, but he's not taking them to Fulcrum because he like doesn't remember what Fulcrum is.
At least that's where the chapter ended. Um,
So I'm just like, if he's been doing that, this is all like a theory based off 3 chapters and could be proven wrong in the next sentence. But
sure.
like, if he's gathering all these kids, statistically, maybe one of them can attract obelisks too, and
Sure.
maybe it's the Onyx one. And then if Essen reaches out to it and like pulls it, I like maybe it alerts Schaffa,
Hmm.
and because I
Hmm.
know that Schaffa's going to show up with Essen chapters now. It's got to happen. But
Yeah. I agree. I also felt like, okay, so moving on to 3, the Schaffa chapter.
mhm.
Part of me wonders if this, I'm getting very Mockingjay vibes at the end, where it's like,
I never read it or saw that. I never saw the end of
oh,
uh,
well,
Hunger
basically
Games.
the end of the message is the wheel keeps turning, and it's still like it's going to forever be a problem. So my thought was, he's lost his memories, but he's still doing the same old antics and the same abusive
Yeah,
behavior.
it's because
So
it's
the
like
wheel
muscle
keeps
memory.
turning,
Yes,
which is like so disheartening.
and okay. Also, like, I just want to say, surprise vampires. Like, the way that the
Yeah.
way that the Guardians like take something from Origins and can from normal people to some extent. They like suck energy or something from these people to sustain themselves.
Yeah, the Guardians are way worse than we even thought they were. And we thought they were pretty bad.
And there's like this creepy voice, or this it keeps referencing his anger that he pulls on, and like when the stuff goes down with cyanide on the ship with the pirate people, and the other guardian gets killed like right away, but he survives. He like it's like he hears a voice in his head, and he's scared of like giving it what it wants because he knows that's how he can survive. But I'm just like, what if that wasn't even so much like what if that was a literal voice and there's like this otherworldly like influence that's puppeteering these guardians like this? Like, I
Maybe.
don't know. And he somehow uses this power to mend his bones and heal himself, and he can like kind of breathe underwater too. Guardians are OP is
Yeah, yeah.
basically the takeaway.
Yes. 100%. But his inclination is still to. It's like he's hardwired to find origin children and to take them one way or another.
Hmm.
And then master manipulate them into coming with him.
Hmm.
Like, it was fascinating and horrifying how he got that little boy to go with him after murdering the kid's family. Now, I know the
Killed his
kid
whole
doesn't
family.
know that that's what happened, but he was able to weave a web of words where the kid, even though he loved his family, like, this kid was not coming from a place of, like, my family hates me and I hate them, like Cyanide did, like Damia did.
Hmm.
This kid wanted to say goodbye to his mom, and he somehow convinced him that that would just be too hard and they just needed to leave. And so they did.
Hmm. Oh,
Horrifying.
like so much of his memory has been gone. He doesn't remember what the fulcrum is. He just remembers like obelisk walls,
Mm-hmm.
and but he does manage to remember Damia's name. But he's still like trying to.
Yes.
And he's man, he his relationship with Damia and his internal like dialogue surrounding all of the events that
Uh
happened
huh.
with her kid was so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he genuinely does have a really twisted love for Damia Cyanide Essen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just it's like the only love he really knows. He doesn't. I feel like he doesn't actually know what real love is supposed to be.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
dark.
it.
It's
Yeah.
dark and twisty.
Yes.
The most
It's the
terrible.
hurt people, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the most terrible part of the whole thing for me was when he was lamenting that cyanide killed the kid.
Hmm.
He was like, "Don't you know that I would have loved your kid just as much as I loved you? How gingerly I would have laid him down in the wire chair." Basically
Yeah.
saying that he was going to turn him into a node maintainer like they thought they were going
Yes.
to.
Yes.
And but he viewed that as like a loving thing to do, just like, no, that ain't no cradle, dude. That's man, that was so disturbing to
Yeah.
ugh.
Which it makes me feel very complicated about that. I still feel very complicated about what Dami or what. Oh my gosh, they're all the same person, but cyanide
Yeah.
did to her baby. Like, and it's supposed to feel complicated.
Hmm.
But in that moment, it's like, oh my gosh, that was the right choice because he was.
Yeah.
It's confirmed. It's confirmed that he was going to do what Alabaster feared. 100%.
Messy.
Messy.
Messy, complicated feelings
Yes.
is what this book elicits, this series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the thing you said for the last book? You're like, I am disturbed and engaged.
Yes. Yes.
I
Still
am
true.
I'm so disturbed and engaged.
So true.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a trip. That last chapter, getting into Schaffa's head, was certainly an experience.
It
And
was. I don't know if I want any more of it.
I know. I'm like morbidly curious. Like, I want to know what happens with his story and like where he
Oh, yeah.
goes. But man, I just don't know if I want to be in his head for it. I just gotta, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Well,
wish it was like the
mostly.
Damia chapters where it was he was there, but it's a different character's POV. I don't know
Yeah.
if my brain is ready to handle a Schaffa POV.
Yeah. I was when the chapter started. I was like, oh my gosh, he survived. He
Yeah.
survived. Of course he did. He's like a
Yep.
what
Superhuman.
something. I was gonna say he's like a fungus or something, like a mold, a really stubborn mold.
Ugh.
But I am curious. I guess it's funny because the last book, we were like, oh, we're out of the Damia chapter, so we're done with Schaffa. Great. And then
You'd like to think
he is
that,
a
wouldn't you?
recurring character. He may, in fact, be the big bad.
Certainly a like maybe not the big. I feel like that has yet to be revealed. A big bad. Like I feel like there is some kind of puppet master behind the Guardians and all this stuff. But I think that he is going to be certainly like one of the main antagonists for Essen going forward,
Yes.
because I feel like he's going to turn up now in the present day chapters of Essen. He's going to show up
My
for sure.
prediction is that he will come across Jija and Nassun.
Oh,
And he will tell Jija that he can take care of her and he won't have to worry about her anymore. That's my current prediction.
Essen is going to have to get her daughter back from Schaffa, not Jija. Oh no, Anna, you're right.
Right? That has to be where this is going.
You're so right.
I could be very wrong, but I just have a feeling. Since he survived, that means that Essen's children are not safe.
Because he does have this really weird fixation with her, Essen. Even though he still thinks of her as Damia or as like a four-ringer. But man, that like, and I still feel like maybe he has something to do with that Onyx obelisk, like whatever he's been getting up
Yeah,
to.
you could.
Because that obelisk is just, it's so foreboding to me. I feel like maybe he's associated with that somehow, and that's gonna somehow pull him into the Essence sphere. But
Could be.
yeah,
Could be
Or
something
in-
else. Could be something way, way different. It could be like a Stone Eater thing.
oh, because yeah, there's like maybe stone eaters inside of these things, so maybe that one's like a I don't know how I feel about the Onyx Obelisk being the bad guy Obelisk, though. That's a little on the nose, because Onyx is black, like...
Right. So yeah, I also find that a little unsettling, but I think that I will be curious to see how that is handled here.
By a black female author. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
agreed.
So I'm going into it hopefully optimistic that it will subvert that trope in some way.
Yeah. Black means evil. The black obelisk is the bad one.
Right.
Evil Stone Eater inside.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's onyx colored. It's a black Stone Eater and he's evil. Yeah.
Right.
No, I hope not. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I feel like N.K. Jemisin is very aware of all of this.
Yeah.
So
more so likely than us. Like she's been living
100%.
she's been living in this her whole life,
100%.
So
yes.
She's aware.
Yeah, so excited to be here. Excited to keep reading this. It's
For
so
sure.
good already. Even if I feel complicated about Schaffa being back.
But man, I'm complicated about it. But his chapter definitely elicited the most, like the biggest emotional responses from me of like man, like it's like you said, disturbed and engaged. I'm very engaged. I was very engaged with the Schaffa chapter because I'm also so curious to learn more about the Guardians in general and like what's their deal, man? Why are they like this?
Right. We don't know.
He had one sad moment, and that was when he looked in the mirror.
Oh,
and
and realized
he
that's
was
what
like,
he was.
I didn't realize my eyes were that scary or that they were that color. It's like, oh, it's like Frankenstein's monster looking in the mirror and getting sad.
Yeah.
Man.
Which then it was weird because he turned to the mom and he's like, I'm a guardian. And then she kind of freaks out. I'm like, you didn't know before, lady? You could see him.
Yeah.
But maybe it was his realization that he was a guardian that scared her.
Well, they mentioned how some people, like those types of eyes are popular with breeders or something, right? That's what they said in the last book. So it's not just guardians.
Right.
But still, I don't know. He's a very complicated character.
Yeah, he is. He certainly is.
And now his brain is mush, so this will be good. That bodes well.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So, what's the next assignment? What's the next reading?
Yep. So the next chapter reading. Wow. Okay. Hold on.
The next chapters we need to
say
read
that
are. Yeah.
So for next week, you're gonna read chapters 4 through 6.
4 through 6.
You may notice that we're doing a little smaller sectioning than we had previously. And that's predominantly because Joseph and I are both back in school and both having to do a lot of reading. So
we both have jobs and
we
we're
both have jobs. So
students.
We're finding some balance here.
We both have a significant other that also needs attention. And it's just, balance is important.
Anyway, that's it. That's all.
Well,
That's all
I guess. Awesome. I guess until next time, happy reading.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.